Welcome back to Wake Up America. I'm Alex Kramer. Well, prosecutors in the Murdaugh double murder trial rested their rebuttal yesterday after calling 6 witnesses to the stand in an effort to contradict Murdaugh's testimony. Now, as the murder trial nears its end, jurors will now visit the defendant's sprawling property known as Moselle today, where the bodies of his wife and younger son were found. So for more on the trial that's gained national attention, we're going to welcome in retired medical examiner, forensic pathologist, and former detective, Dr. Michelle Dupree, and a criminal defense attorney, Michael Huff. Good morning to you both. Thank you so much for coming on. Michael, I do want to start with you and yesterday's rebuttal, which included a crime scene expert who participated in a very dramatic reenactment of the shooting, actually having the state AG take a shotgun and put it to his head. In these big dramatic theatrics like this, how impactful do you think that was to the jury?
Thank you, Alex, and good morning. Thanks for having us. Actually, when you have demonstrations like that in open court, it can be very impactful. Walking through the motions, having visual aids it's very demonstrative, and it's very impactful to the jury. They're able to see and begin to visualize in their head and right in front of themselves what's going on, or to recreate what happened at the crime scene. So it definitely has a big impact.
Now, we also saw a crime scene expert take the stand to refute the defense's claim that Murdaugh's wife, Maggie's shooter, was short, saying between 5'2" and 5'4". However, he said, he could have easily been 6'4", which is Alex's height. Michelle, how effective do you think that this testimony is? And what are your thoughts on the claim that there were actually 2 shooters?
Well, I think the 2-shooter scenario is really unlikely. I personally think that the shooter didn't want to reload. If Paul was shot first, as we assume, he was shot with a shotgun, and I think it was just more expedient to have another gun handy to go after Maggie. I don't think that the height really has any bearing on this, because the person said that they were that height based on where they put them along that line of trajectory. If you move the line of trajectory a bit, then the height totally diminishes or increases. And so I really think that's just not really an issue.
Okay. Let's talk about the big thing that's happening today. The jurors are going to visit the family's property today. And I know prosecutors were against the visit. The defense wanted this. This is not something that's unknown. They did this actually in the O.J. Simpson trial. They visited the crime scene. Obviously, the property has changed a lot since June of 2021. So, Michael, do you see this actually helping Alec Murdaugh's case if the jurors go there?
This one I think it's a double-edged sword here. On one hand, they could go and, given the changes in the terrain, have a very different perception of the events that occurred. On the other hand, walking through the scene may instill feelings of morbidity. It could certainly conjure up feelings or different impressions than they had exclusively in the jury box of what transpired. So I think it'll be very interesting, and it's certainly an interesting move on the defense's part.
Yeah, Michelle, I want to get your thoughts on this same exact topic. I mean, as a retired medical examiner and former detective, what do you think that the jurors could really learn from this visit? I mean, what is the goal?
I think that the goal is probably to support the 2-shooter theory, but I'm thinking that it's probably going to backfire. I think that the jury will be able to see the distance between where the 2 bodies were located, and also see that it would definitely be possible to shoot both with 1 shooter. So I think it may not work out as the defense intends.
Well, Michael, closing arguments are set to begin after the visit to that property today. What do you think each side needs to do to really button up their case?
I have to agree with Michelle here. I think that the walkthrough is likely to backfire. I think it was a mistake to have the defendant testify. I think that also having there are a number of witnesses that the prosecution still has to put on. So buttoning it down, this is it's more than a toss-up, and I think it's leaning in the prosecution's favor.
Michelle, final thoughts from you. What does each side need to do?
Well, I think that the prosecution really needs to tie everything together. They have, in my mind, they've left a lot of speculation for the jury to infer things. I want them to just come out and say it. I want them to, dot the I's and cross the T's. As far as the defense, I think they've done a good job when they have cross-examined some of the witnesses, but I still think that the prosecution probably has a bit of a stronger edge here.
All right, Dr. Michelle Dupree, Michael Huff, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for your expertise. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
And as we head to break, Beth M. spotted NEWSMAX